if you actually Google babysit, it involves the parents not being there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you're one of the parents, you can't be babysitting your own child.
Grownish, smartish, British.
We are British, apparently.
So you're back again. I can't do it, guys. I don't know how to do. You know, people have intros, like proper intros. They go, "Hi, welcome to the pod.
Yeah, I hate it.
My
It's
name's
cringe.
Hebz."
Yeah.
And we have a guest here. That's not even a good accent. We have a guest here. Looks familiar, dressed the same because
Yeah.
we filmed it in the same day.
I just wear this all the time.
It's all right. It's all right, man. Soon come. You'll be able to get sponsors and they'll throw you free clothes.
Please do, yeah.
But no, thank you for choosing to do an extended episode.
No.
I appreciate you, and we're here. For those who don't know who you are, do another intro. You are Aaron. Can you tell us more about what you do and what you represent?
Advocate for positive and effective co-parenting, solution based. I run a platform on Instagram and TikTok called raisingboys_to_men. Hopefully by the time this comes out, we'll be close to 100k.
All right, calm down.
Hopefully.
I say calm down because I just literally in the last episode said I got 10k. And he just went, let me just add a 0 to that. I am here to support you and celebrate you. For anyone thinking, wow, she's hating. No, I'm not, promise.
But yeah, no, but you know what? That's been in a year.
That's
That's
amazing.
been in about a year span. So yeah, with consistency.
Soon come 1 million, man. You got this. Listen, everyone, look, the beauty about parenting, which is why I can never stop talking about it, is that it's so relative to everyone. You're either a parent or you've been parented or lack of parenting. So like, it's such a topical thing that is universal. So wherever you are in the world,
It will connect.
it will connect. And the beauty of TikTok that I've learned is that it spreads far. Like, I'm sure you've had followers if you read your DMs. You have someone in Singapore going, I watch what you said.
When I do lives, I normally do Instagram lives on Monday. I see
Nice.
like Holland or
Yeah.
Belgium, and I'm like,
Did they ever throw out their flags?
yeah.
And have you ever went, I don't know the flag.
Yeah. I'll just skip past.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just
oh,
like-
Leeds. Yeah, well done, Leeds.
America, I see you. So I start every episode with quotes, and the quote of the day that I have chosen from your selection of quotes is the overthinking one.
Yes, overthinking is the art of creating problems out of ones that never existed. I think it's something like that. Right?
Correct.
Yeah, I am a massive overthinker. I procrastinate as well, and yeah, my mind just wanders. And I think sometimes what can start off so harmlessly, especially in relationships as well, it's happened before in my early co-parenting days. It could be like, okay, I can't get hold of my child's mum. Oh, she's probably with a man. Oh, you know what? That man's probably going to be around my child. Oh, you know what? He's going to be the stepdad. Oh, you know what? She's pregnant. Like, out of nowhere, my child's mum is now pregnant and married. Like, out of
You went
nowhere.
for a whole episode of EastEnders, like.
Out of nowhere.
fully.
And it happened in like 10 minutes. Like, this
That's
woman's gone and done that in
incredible.
10 minutes. And it's
Yeah.
just because I've allowed my mind to control me rather than controlling my mind.
Yeah. Do you have any anxiety like linked to that? Do you suffer with anxiety at all?
I feel like I have moments. But I think that stems from my childhood as well. But I'm more aware of when things are happening. So, okay, you know what? I'm feeling a certain way. Let me go off and do what I need to. That's why gym is needed for me.
Literally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
that time where it's like, no, this is for me. This
Yeah.
sets me up. And some people don't have that, and it doesn't have to be gym, but something where you know switches you off from everything going on.
Yeah. No, 100%. I know, like, when I speak about parenthood, I've done a thing about this on Instagram where it's like me speaking directly to the camera, and I spoke about when people become parents or become partners, they just assume that's their new identity, and it's now my responsibility to just focus on this and just this, and like you forget the fact that you were your own person, and that's one of the things and attributes that your children love about you, your partner loves about you, and it's the fact that you're now engrossed in this role, feeling kind of like almost oppressing yourself and putting this pressure on yourself when it's actually not needed. So it's important to find the balance for you to be the best version of yourself, i.e. to then be the best parent, to be the best spouse, the best partner, is that you need to do something for you unapologetically to serve just you.
That word, unapologetic.
And for me, it's like gym was my thing. Like, this is my time where I'm no one's parent, I'm no one's daughter, I'm no one's wife. I am literally in my own element. I don't work for no one. And I can sort of be on a treadmill crying. I can be watching the stand up.
Hopefully not though.
I know, I've been there.
Yeah.
It's peak. And it's always coming to go, hey, Hebz. And I'm just like, yeah, it's just sweat coming out my eyes. But luckily my whole face was dripping, so it was fine. But it's your moment to sort of, whatever you're feeling, you can just fully feel it, experience it, and then release it. Do you know what I mean? And then when you leave that environment, you're ready to face the world. And
release.
Yeah.
That word there just hit me, because it's like, yeah, we carry so much, but how much do we let go of?
And that's it, because the more you carry, the more you're unable to really function in your full capacity, because you're literally weighed down by things, whether it's problems, whether it's overthinking, whether it's scenarios, or like your realities, like with the way we carry financial struggles on our weight, like how that can really be a burden on how you behave around other people, or how you choose to live or exist. That you're almost punishing yourself because you're struggling financially, when actually you can still laugh and figure out finances and like be able to like section your thoughts. Does that make sense?
Can I ask you a deep question?
Oh God.
When did you last cry?
Yesterday. That's been the first time to cry. Okay. So yesterday I cried when I was praying, because I always make a prayer for my dad, and for some reason it really hit me, like the realities of him passing, because I haven't grieved my dad properly, and I just had a moment where it was just like, it became so real, and I was saying his name, like my voice changed, and I'm like, but I still do what a typical dude would do, which is stop crying. Why are you crying for? Man up, continue. So I've never allowed myself crying, but I think because I cried so much in my previous marriage, like a lot of the time, that I sort of don't allow myself to cry a lot.
Because you feel like you've done enough of it.
Yeah, and like the reasons I cried then no longer exist. So those problems that made me feel that low about myself, or that useless, or whatever it is that I felt about myself at the time, or the situation, thankfully, touch wood, being lonely and being single for 6 years was sad at times, lonely at times. You're yearning for companionship, but you're also being like putting obstacles and things in the way. But it's not the same pain as feeling the pain and hurt of someone else. Does that make sense? So it's like, I've chosen to protect myself and put myself in this bubble. It's a bit lonely at times, but so much more peaceful than dealing with that issue. But why did you ask me when the last cry?
Because you spoke about release. We spoke about release, right? And some of us, how I always look at it, right, is I started therapy at the age of 37. So up until then, I was walking around with a backpack. Yeah, a problem happened. Okay, a stone gets put in that backpack. More problems, bricks, so much. I'm 37 and I haven't once emptied this backpack, right?
Yeah.
I get to a stage, now I'm emptying it and I feel lighter. With crying, I think as men sometimes we can look at it as a sign of weakness. I can't do it. But what I've realised is those moments that I cry, I feel so much better after, because I've let out everything that I was carrying.
Yeah.
And it just lets me know that there's people out there looking at that as a sign of weakness, but it actually allows you to gain strength, because you're like, I'm lighter now.
Do you know what's mad as well? Is that the people who say it's weak for you to cry are probably the ones that probably need the biggest tears.
They got the most water in them.
Yeah, like you need to release that. Whatever you're doing right now, you're hurting yourself. And when people push certain narratives on people, like I've seen it in like TikTok comments, and I'm just like, you're really struggling, because if you're completely believing that this is how a man should function or a human should function, then you've also been part of the problem, and you've now inherited the problem, and now you're almost screaming at yourself going, I can't cry. Mate, try crying alone. You will stop you from like punching those 10 guys you just done punched the other day, because you're not releasing.
It's needed.
And you're then releasing in different ways, in the most like, I guess, toxic manners way, because you're like either you're deflecting your energy on other people who didn't do anything to hurt you, or you're waiting for any opportunity to just release that pent up anger on someone.
Would.
Yeah. I dare you. It's like, so my quote is it's a Lauryn Hill quote, and it's like, how you gonna win if you ain't right within? And I think for me, it's like a lot of us want growth, but we're not willing. Like, we want to be successful, but we're not willing to like really like reflect. So you mentioned in the last episode, like what you find really attractive in a woman or in a person is the fact that they're able to be accountable and self-reflective. And I think you'll never be able to achieve certain goals and certain fulfillments like sincerely if you haven't tried to fix what's going on within yourself and you've not allowed yourself to heal. So I feel like within life you can't win truly if you haven't allowed yourself to heal and to grow.
I love that. Lauryn Hill fan as well as Talib.
Mr. Education and Lauryn Hill is the one.
It's the one album though. I think that I was let down with that. Like, you dropped one album
but you know what?
and
It was one hell of a gem.
It was
Like from beginning to the interludes to the talking in the classroom to the outro, it slapped.
Yeah, she's got the status now for life because of that one. I feel like it's unfair though, because I feel like many people have had one amazing album and then had some terrible ones. But if that was the only album they dropped, they'd be looked at differently.
Yeah.
So
I'm a massive, we're digressing now, I'm a massive Music Soul Child fan. I don't know if you know Music Soul Child is.
Don't disrespect me.
Oh, no. It's either you do
so
or you don't.
beautiful, yeah.
That was
The
my ringtone from Mum.
The intro to that song.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
So Music Soul Child's first 3 albums absolutely slaps. After that, I'm like, oh, boo, what are we doing now? What are we doing here? So I'm like, whenever I tell someone I like Music Soul Child, I'm like, yeah, but like first 3 albums only. And it's like, maybe it's a discredit to him, I don't know, but I get what you mean. Like when people come solid with their music and then it kind of gets a bit weaker or they're selling out or trying new material, it's like, no, baby, you were good here. It's a bit like German Boys to Men did like their remixes, like dance remixes and other. I'm like, but we like the acapellas and we like the
Stick
cheese.
with what you're good at. Like.
Yeah, that's what touches our soul. Not some remix, some Europe DJ meet. No. But yeah, that was my quote. Because I've had to reflect and check myself when I'm like going, well, I want this and I want to be able to achieve certain things, but then who am I and what am I bringing to the table and what am I doing to serve myself in order for the universe to serve me? Like, so it's just...
I'd like to think that's one of the main reasons my page has done so well is because a lot of it is me reflecting on myself. And what people don't realize is that page now keeps me accountable. Because I can't be out here talking about this and then, you know what, I haven't given my child's mum money in years. Like, it's all a lie. Like, no, I know people are waiting for my downfall.
But I get it, but then you admittedly have spoken about who you were to who you are today. And I think the best people to vouch for you are the mother of the mothers of your children, because they're the ones who can go, they're the ones who be watching you, either rolling their eyes, gritting their teeth, or going, do you know what, I can see the growth. Like, do you know what I mean? And appreciating the journey. I think they're the true people who can, I guess, back you when it comes down to it. Because people love to comment and be like, but I bet you're a narcissist. Or it's just like, oh, baby, I don't know who hurt you. Stop it. But the one thing I love about what you're doing is it seems very organic. It seems straight from the heart. And I think, you know, I like to do things that are purely purposeful, serving other people, serving myself, and where it's like opportunity to grow, opportunity to resonate with someone, like just having someone identify with what you're going through or allowing them to reflect, to me means everything. Like when I think about what I talk about and what I do, and I feel like on your page it seems like a similar thing. What made you start the page, and was it that to start off with and then you changed it and switched it up?
I feel like God directed me here because nothing else really makes sense. Like the page, I feel like it was a fitness page at some point. Yeah, I had a fitness page.
Yeah,
and then I just remember I wanted a interactive kind of like virtual photo memory album for me and my kids. So I was like, Instagram, like they can look back when they're older and whatever. And it started out photos, images of my kids. And then we would do these little car skits, these little jokey videos in the car. And then I went on a podcast 2-3 years ago.
Nice.
And I just opened up about my dad.
Nice, okay.
And then from there, we got questions. And I was like, okay, people want to hear a bit more. podcast to podcast to podcast. And I just found like, okay, when I go on these platforms, I'm talking about the same thing. That's getting a bit irritating now. And when's the footage coming? Probably in a month or whatever. All right.
Soz. You gotta wait for yours, innit?
So I'm like, so I'm waiting and I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? What if I just started something myself? So I was in a relationship, and it's not to throw shade. The name became Raising Boys to Men before she came into my life. And that was just off the back. I'm a big Boys to Men fan. I threw like 4 names at my friends, and I thought they'd never choose Raising Boys to Men. But they was like, no, that's got a ring to it. I like it.
Sweet.
All right, cool. And then started talking a bit more about my journey. And my partner at the time, we had a conversation, not October just gone, October before. And she wasn't really supporting the way in which I felt she should support. And I remember she said to me, and I'll never forget it, and it's not to throw shade, but she said, the reason why I don't support is because you never see anything through. Yeah?
Okay.
You're always starting and stopping. So I guess she didn't take it as seriously. I said to her, that was harsh, but thank you, because I needed that.
I was gonna say, maybe that's what you needed to hear.
I needed that.
Yeah.
We ended up breaking up a couple months after that, and my therapy was, I'm zoning in now.
That's good.
I'm not accountable to anyone. I don't have to worry about anyone's opinions on what I'm saying.
Just do you.
I'm zoning in. And the moment I zoned in, I went from, I think I had 1,000 in January last year. Come April, I had 8,000. And now I'm sitting on whatever I'm sitting on.
What are you saying on now?
86.
Sick. That's
Just through
amazing.
zoning in and saying, you know what, thank you for that. It hurt me, but you're right. Maybe I haven't been seeing anything through, so now I'm going to go all in.
Yeah, I think it's important because sometimes we do, but a lot of us don't see things through for several reasons. And one of them that I'm guilty of is self-doubt. Like, why should I, like, even when you started doing this, surely you saw loads of other parent, not podcasts, but certain pages and fathers. And it's just like, okay, cool, but they're already like out there. They've already built themselves a status, and I'm here coming in, like, who am I? So it's just like, by default, as human beings, we kind of question whether it's even worth continuing at times. And even to this day, I go through moments of like, maybe I should just pull the plug on this, because when you realize, oh yeah, I'm proud of my milestone, but then you start comparing yourself to others.
Comparisons to FIFA Joy.
That was my last quote from my last episode. I'm gonna guess that you watched it, which is why.
Yeah, that's why,
that's
innit?
where you got it from, innit?
I'm here.
But it's true. We compare, and we do it all the time, no matter how strong we feel and how like proud we are of ourselves. It takes one little thought, and we undo everything, and that's mad.
But that's because of the modern day world. Like when you was in school and you got an achievement, you'd be gassed, right? And it would probably last a lot longer. Now, because you didn't really have too many people to compare yourself with. Now, I don't know, you might get your first house, and that should be a massive achievement. But then you see an 18-year-old that's just bought a mansion, and you're like,
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
like-
I remember there's one girl now who just bought like 2 cribs at the age of 24 or something. And I'm just, I don't know what you did, but shout out to your parents if it was all legit. Like, that's sick.
yeah.
But
There's more people to compare yourself to now, but stay in your lane.
yeah,
Like appreciate how far you've come.
no, 100%. I think, but you have to be able to have those grounding moments and coaching yourself through them, because if the inner voice is powerful, it can be quite consuming, and it can sort of make you think, oh, that's the point.
Yeah.
So when you first started, obviously once you birthed Raising Boys to Men,
Yeah.
how was it received initially by your, even like, forget the strangers, because strangers are also, they don't know you,
Yeah.
but for people who knew you, like your boys, like when they see you, for like, obviously now you've seen your socials change, they'll see you in the gym, they'll see you other places, like how did they receive and react to it?
You know what's mad? My close circle, they're not on socials, they don't really support, they don't really, like my close. No, I'd say in the last year, I've made a whole new group of friends through just the work I do.
Sick.
And they are the ones that have been rooting for me. I felt like I went into this fully on my own. Like I had to have conversations with my mum, because I knew she'd be upset with some of the stuff that I'm talking about. But I had to say to her, look, Mum, I need you to respect that I'm never going to disrespect you, but this was my journey. like, I know it involved you, but I'm just going to be speaking about my journey and my truth.
Yeah.
And that was a hard conversation to have, but she respected it.
And I think that's important. It's important to give people a heads up. And that's how I felt when I spoke to my mum about, I did a clip about how my parents are very anti me marrying any other race outside mine. And I explained why. And I gave mum the heads up, like, I'm going to talk about it. And she's like, oh, no, I don't want people to think that I'm racist, because she's not racist, right? It was just, she stuck to the same iPhone 5 for the whole entirety of her life because she's scared of change. That's just her mindset, has her default to how she's
Comfort
wired.
with what you know.
That's it. Yeah, it's ignorant, but we're a different generation where we can deep that, reflect it, unlearn it, and change it and evolve it, all that stuff. And I remember her like just being a bit scared about it, and I'm like, Mum, it's cool. I said, like, the way I carry you is all grace. It's facts. It's how things are. And I think even like when I talk about the father of my child, it's only like recently, even up until like our last episode, where I mentioned anything that extremely explicit about our relationship. Before that, I speak very vaguely because I'm scared to upset anyone, but it's not because I'm trying to like, but like on the flip side, if I do speak about it, it's not because I'm trying to bash them, but it's to try and explain people the extent, because they assume, oh, so you just broke up a happy home, yeah? So you just ended it, yeah? So you're selfishly like a cold woman just dipped out in your relationship. And I'm like, oh, if only you knew.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think it's important to get people on board. Speaking of which, how did your son's mothers react to the fact that you're going to now speak about these things?
They haven't. They have, like, so my eldest mum, we don't really talk. But when I say we don't really talk, it's not because there's beef. It's because my son's 15. All communication is through him. We will talk if necessary. You know what? Something's going on at school, or he's choosing his colleges. We'll have a conversation. So Omari's told me. Omari's gone home and said, "Mum, look at this." Like, and she's embraced it. He said that he's come downstairs before and heard my voice through her phone.
Well,
So she's watching. Yeah. But I think she did say one thing to him about something I said. I can't remember what it was, but she was like, "That's not quite how I remember it." Yeah. And like I say, I can only give my view.
Yeah.
There's always two sides to a story. We all see things through different lenses.
100%.
But I've never and will never put her down. As my youngest mum, she again, we haven't spoke about it, but she's cool with it because Tyler's excited by it. He's like, "Dad's a celebrity." Because people at his school,
that's like my son in
talk
school.
about it. The mums, I think the mums have said to my son's mum about it, and the stepdad's been on the platform. So I know it's all love. I know it's all love, but yeah, we've not sat down and said.
And how she felt about Omari actually being on your conversations and sitting there, and
I think she's cool with it. Like, she's, from what she said to Omari, that she's proud of him, proud of the way he articulates himself and he comes across. And I think with both of the mums, they have trust that I'm not going to put anything out which will make my children look a certain way, and I would never disrespect their mums either.
I think that's a massive like positive reflection of who you are, your character, for them to not feel like, snap, what is he going to say today? Or like, how's he going to kind of carry us? And because we can, like, the reality is relationships are hard, extremely hard, whether the successful ones or unsuccessful, and things are very real, but it's how we choose to express it that will determine what you learn from it, and how you receive it. Like, because if your back's against the wall when you're talking, then it's just like, oh, you're just an angry man, you're just an angry woman speaking. But then it's like, so when they see that's coming from love and growth and reflection and understanding, I think no one can really fault you for it, because you're very mindful of how you speak.
If you I think the reason why a lot of people struggle with the content is because they're hearing, they're not listening. Hearing is the ability to pick up sound, right? Like, I can hear a sound, but listening requires you to identify the sound, process it and understand it. A lot of people won't do that. They hear a word and run off. Okay, I know what he was talking about. And you haven't listened to the...
Yeah. I remember once I did a post and I said parents. Yeah, I said single parent households. He's like, oh yeah, you all talk about women. And I'm just like, baby boy, let me just send it to you in the DMs in case you done missed out the keywords involved. And he's like, yeah, my bad, I'm not gonna lie. I said, but then it comes from like your own trauma, your pain. So the fact that you assumed I'm now talking about mandem or about a guy or whatever, or about you, like, it's just like, no, I'm saying as a single parent household, there's certain energies that you need to protect for your child. Like, and I know a lot of men that are raising women alone or raising children alone, whether it's a boy or a girl. But I know both ends of it. Do you know what I mean? Men who've had to fight to see their children, and some who are now their primary carer as a result of it.
It's just what I guess the population see as the majority. We just jump to that.
Yeah, 100%. Did you expect your page to take off? Did you ever kind of go, yeah, I can see this?
I think I remember I think it was May or June last year, I got nominated at the Fatherhood Awards.
Sick.
And it was like, I can't remember what it was, but I went there and I didn't win. Yeah. And there was people that won and they were on like 40,000 followers, 60,000 followers. And I was just like, I want to win. Like, I just came, but that made me push harder. And from there, I think I just got this boost of like, what I've got's different to what you lot have got. You lot, everything I'm seeing in front of me, like there was a gay couple, 2 guys raising kids, right? But I think there was 2 of those. And other things were about relationships or whatever. I was like, no one here is talking about co-parenting. No one here is actually sharing their real life experiences. That's when I realized I've got something different to what's it. Yeah. That's when I realized there's no lane. I've created a lane here.
Yeah, 100%. And I think with a lot of things, even if it is similar, like there'll be other single fathers that want to speak up, or whatever. But then I think we all have our own names, and it's what you make of it. And you can be 2 different people spitting similar bars, but people resonate more with you, maybe from where your cultural background is, whether they're in exactly the same setup, or even how you articulate yourself, and compared to another person who they're more attracted to them because of maybe they're using banter, or they're using a different attitude towards the matter. So it's like there's enough people for everyone, and that if you're going to be successful, you attract that energy by default. But it's just pacing yourself, because sometimes it's very unpredictable when it comes to the social media world.
Yeah, I think I've put that pressure on myself. Like I think for the past year I've pretty much posted every day. Yeah, like a new reel. And these, like, sometimes I'll go home and create like 10 reels. Yeah. Change clothes, create reels, because the ideas are there.
It's popping and it's fresh on your mind, 100%.
But that feeling of Instagram, I don't think those social media platforms support consistency. I think it's because consistency could be like every week. They want you on there 24/7.
Yeah.
That's what they will.
Yeah, it's a full-time job for some people.
Yeah, I think it becomes overwhelming.
Yeah, but I think it's once you gauge your audience and you figure out the algorithm somehow, you're blessed. Like, it's just, and I think dedication is there. Sometimes you got to push it out in different ways. But it's interesting that you mentioned that you started making your own videos because of going on other people's podcasts and realizing, wait, I don't really have that much control over when the material's going to come out, what sound bites I want to use, all these different things. And I think I felt that way as well with mine, because I started doing videos directly talking to the camera, because I think, firstly, when I'm on a podcast, that's not mine. I can't control the narrative, but that's the only time I can actually just speak ultimately about me.
Freedom.
Whereas when I'm on my own podcast, I can talk, but then you're still my guest. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I always say I'm not interviewing, I'm having a conversation, because
100%.
I want it to be able to be a 2-sided conversation. And also, if we can resonate with each other's conversation, then that even makes it more exciting.
Flows better, yeah.
But then there's certain things that we might have said, which is like a 10-second gem, that we can actually expand on. So I think even when I look back on my own podcast, I'm like, do you know what? This resonated a lot of people, but I don't think I got a chance to really express it on a deeper level. So let me speak about that a bit more. And it works. And I think it's good that you're very conscious of like what really hits with people and what really matters to you. And whilst it's fresh, just do it.
Yeah, I think the things that really hit can often be the things that I'm so hesitant to talk about. Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
100%, because whenever I release like a little soundbite, I'm like, it's probably not that strong because it's maybe they're going to place judgment or think it's too dry, like it's not clickbait kind of material.
Yeah.
And that's the one clip that made it viral on TikTok was me speaking about my dad passing and him not getting to meet my husband and how I felt about that. And I thought someone might be like, oh, this is boring, but then instead it was
Hit
something
hearts.
that everyone thought was extremely brave of me to speak about, and they can relate to it instantly. And I'm just like, I didn't realize so many people have lost their parents so young in their time. 'Cause I've had people who like 24, like one girl approached me and she's like, I'm 24, I just lost my dad like 6 months ago, and I saw your clip, someone sent it to me and it resonated. And she went, that was the one thing that kind of what I needed at the time. And I'm just like, never in my wildest dreams did I think that it would impact someone in that way. So now it's just like, even if it's a bit uncomfortable or it sounds a bit on the less entertaining manner, do I really care?
Yeah.
Like,
Because it's from, you're sharing your story, and sometimes that kind of topic was probably emotional to talk about as well. And it's like, they're the ones we don't really want to dig to sometimes, but they help so many people.
not 100%, 100%. What was a turning point for your page where you, like, is there a particular video that you released and it just literally went crazy?
I think there's a video on TikTok that's got like 3.5 million views, and I think that's me talking to Omari about child support.
Okay.
I think when I started opening up about child support, and that's when things really took off, because I think so many people battle over that topic.
Yeah.
And I was simply asking Omari if he understood it, and because in his mind, if I'm giving his mum money, he should be getting some of it. Like it should,
As
be,
in physical
as
pocket
in
money.
it should go on him.
Yeah.
And he didn't understand that I've been providing financially since you were born, because he doesn't see it.
Yeah.
So in his mind, he probably thinks mum does everything, dad just gets me when he gets me.
It's like, hold up.
Yeah, let's have a talk here. Like
Yeah.
I've provided financially every month, as I've been told to by the child maintenance service. And on top of that, I do what I can when I can. And I think seeing his reaction, and we've had more conversations where he's given his opinion on men providing, so on and so forth. Those are the ones that just took it to new levels.
I think because, like you said, that's most relatable, very honest, and I think the fact that you're having this conversation with your son, and also like schooling him, that you're educating him, and he can then educate other younger men, because he's the next generation. And you're kind of
100%.
setting a presidency of like roles and responsibilities.
And he's only gonna do better than me if he learns from me. Like if he can learn, these are mistakes I made. Like don't make them. Just I'm giving you the tools. I'm giving you the information to avoid making these mistakes. I was never given that information.
No, correct. And I think because a lot of people who are disgruntled when it comes to parents splitting, I'll say in the majority, when I speak of this situation, which really upsets me, because people then go, oh, but what about the men? Or what about the women? Or what about this? There's a million variables. So every scenario, every single video that you have made, every single video that I have made, there are extremely intricate variables to every single case. So when you speak about, child support, you are aware that women pay child support. You're aware that men pay child support. You're aware that some cases are different, and some people try and cheat the system. Some people try and rip men off. Some people try and rip women off. We get that. But people forget that actually in that space of a video where you're trying to deliver a very concise
90
message.
seconds.
90 seconds at best. Sometimes you want to make a minute because you want to make it easy to digest. It's like, I can't go, terms and conditions apply, subject to. It's just like, then you get the comments and I'm just like, my G, like we know there are variables. Like we get it. There are idiot people in this world. There are idiot women in this world.
Everywhere.
It's just hard. But I feel like it's just so important to be able to just land a point, because you're still exposing, like you're still giving them exposure to new information. And the one thing that you spoke about recently, which really resonated with me, and I've been so close to sending your videos to my ex.
Don't do it.
I refuse to be the person.
Don't do it.
But there are times where I'm like, am I talking to a caveman? And I'm just like, maybe this is cool here. Because it's not coming from me, it's coming from another man, and he can identify with you. And, do you know what I mean? It's
Women have tagged their baby fathers.
No, that's dead. I'm so
into-
sorry, ladies. Don't
And
do
I've
that.
seen battles going on in the comments, and I'm like, oh, it's not
That's
going to
peak.
help doing it this way.
It's not. But like I wholeheartedly, I appreciate your content, because you've had your growth. You were the idiot once upon a time. I'm sorry to refer to you as an idiot.
No.
But you were that guy who the majority of people would speak about. And it's just like, you change the narrative, and now you're going, do you know what? I know what I've learned, and let me just speak about it. You're not trying to move like, you're this perfect father and a perfect,
Still growing, still learning.
that's it. And then I'm sure there'll be times where you have to learn to take the L again and go, all right, cool, I could have done better here. But I just feel like people get defensive when you speak predominantly around men, and the realities are, statistically speaking, whether you like it or not, the primary carer is always going to be the woman majority of the time.
89%.
Just 89% of the time, the primary carer is the woman, because of the way the system is, and because, you know, some men are very old school as well. They'll be like, well, you're the carer, you're the nurturer, you should know what to do, you take care of the you. Like, as in, even the way they talk about parenthood is so, like, black and white. As if you're the woman, you breastfed, you gave birth, that's in your care. I'll provide, or I'll be present when needed. And it's just like, but then you don't provide. And then the video you made the other day about receipts, I was just like, that's the video I wanted to send to my ex-husband. I wanted to go, because like he'll be like, oh yeah, I get him trainers, don't I, when he needs it. I get him, like, on Christmas there'll be like vests and boxer shorts. I'm like, oh, excellent, safe, appreciate it. And it's just like, but then he'll be like, what else do you need? What else do you care about? I said, because your child, we have lunch money, after school clubs, clothes, we have commutes back and forth, we have electricity and gas. Your child loves to be on his Xbox and
listen, my kids were around the other day and they were on the Xbox, and I realised, no, you lot are taking liberty. You've been on that for too long. Like, with the bills going
look
on.
Look at the meter going up.
No.
And some people have those little monitors letting
Smart
you know.
meters.
Them ones, and you can see the pounds,
just going.
the actual pounds. And I'm just like, mother trucker. But then there's other things like, you know, just like I remember at some point I couldn't provide my son beyond the bare minimum. Like I was able to give him a house, the mortgage was paid. He had food in the fridge and he had clothes. Like that's it. Like I couldn't take him to the cinema, couldn't take him to go grab McDonald's, like just the basic. And I felt like an absolute crap mum. I felt like I couldn't provide for my child or whatever. And it's like he forgets that even those social things and interactions are they are a necessity in a child's life, because the child wants to be able to break away from the house and do something exciting that he can even tell his friends about. Like, do you know what I mean?
I think what we don't realise, and I was thinking this on the way here, right, is there were things that I couldn't do as a kid and things that I didn't get as a kid. And I always used to maybe kick up fuss or think to myself, oh, mum's not doing it. Mum should be able to do it. And you can behave a way towards your mum because you feel like she should be able to get me these. Why can't she get me these? And it's not until you grow up, like, and I realised I felt so bad because I was like, as a kid, I'm feeling like mum isn't, like, mum hasn't got me because she's not getting me the PlayStation or she's not getting me this. And you don't realise where mum's covering so much and doing it without the help of this man.
And doing it with chest and doing it with happiness and with love, rather than disgruntly or like, you know, negative energy, like reluctantly buying you stuff. Like she's doing it because she genuinely wants to see you thrive.
And my energy was aimed towards the wrong parent.
Yeah.
My energy was aimed towards the one that was there for me, caring for me, supporting me, rather than aimed at the one that wasn't. And as a man, you look back and you're like, as a kid, I got it so wrong.
It happens though. It's normal. Like my son did the other day, like I can't remember, probably like a year ago. He said to me something, like he wanted something and I said no. And then he's like, oh, it's not fair. I said, okay, Khalil. And I sat down and I broke down my income and expenditure to my child. Yeah, you're laughing, but it's real talk. I said, you know what? Let me just let you know what I am paying for you. And then let me know. Because he said to me at some point, he's like, oh, mummy, are we poor? And I was on some big boy money, right? Yeah. But that big boy money has a mortgage to pay and gas, like everything else. Like, as in, I was at this point 3 jobs promoted in, and I was comfortable, but I had to explain to him that everything adds up. Yeah, and he said to me, oh, mummy, is it because we're poor we can't get it? Or like, oh yeah, you don't have any money, mum. I said, no, baby, it's because I have to pay for this and this and this and this and this and this. And remember you needed more of this? That yeah. And remember what school? You know school loves to give you every single week newsletter. Please bring in £3 tomorrow. Please bring in £2 if you want your child to wear normal clothes like everyone else. Otherwise they'll be left out, looking like a loner in the corner, looking all poor. So it's just like I had to remind him. And then I said to him, baby, if you want something more, ask your dad. And he's like, oh, okay. I said, baby, don't be shy to ask your dad for things. I said, that's your pops. And if he can't provide it for whatever reason, I'm so sorry. I said, but I do everything I can for you. Like, you're going to after school clubs 5 days a week. Like, you're doing whatever you need to do. Like, everything that I can do for you, I will. But if I say no to something, please understand, I don't feel happy saying no to you. Like, I don't get kicks out of it. But there are times I say no for fun. Like, how, like, if I'm putting him on timeout, they'd be like, Mom, you're going to have my chocolate. I'm like, no, baby, I'm going to be having your chocolate. I don't eat in front of him. And he'd be like, but mum, you said I can have it today. I said, yeah, but I also asked you to respect me today. You didn't respect me. So,
lesson learned, didn't it?
Listen, you are watching me eat that chocolate bar slowly. But I'm going to regret it when I don't go to the gym. But
you said something there, though, which is so true. You said, you said to your child, ask your dad. And I think even if I heard that as a kid, I'd be uncomfortable. I'd be like, oh, I don't know, because I think that in itself says so much. When a child is told to ask your dad, and we feel like we're intruding, or we feel like we're bothering that person, or we feel uncomfortable to ask that person, what is that saying about our relationship?
100%. And I think there's a certain way, and just to be very clear, it's not go ask your dad, he's this, he's that. No. Like, genuinely, baby, if you want something, ask pops, because if he can do it for you, then that's great. But right now I can't afford it. I said, but you wanted to do this last week and I did it, and there was no problem at all. I want to see you happy. I want to see you growing. I want to see you smiling, all that kind of stuff. I reinstate it. But I think some women, and maybe some men, if you're a primary carer, probably talk about the other parent as if like they're disgusting. Like, why don't you ask your dad if he cares, if he gives a damn? And my son will never hear that narrative, no matter how much. No matter how much I want to jab his dad in the throat like 3 times a week. Like, it will always be received with love. Like, my son will never feel any kind of way about his pops because of me. Like, you'll go figure that yourself when you get older, and you ask dad those questions that you ask me. Then we can have that real talk conversation. But I think some women don't know how to. Or
it's articulation, isn't it?
Wait, I need to word this right so I don't get slated. Some single parent household who women and men who haven't quite healed struggle to express and separate their feelings, and then their child has to then hear about their other parent in the most negative way because you're in your feelings. And I think that's been the hardest thing about co-parenting for myself, is being able to separate your emotional feelings from that parent, because I'd like to say I'm healed and I'm doing all right. I think we're forever healing. But I was going to say, we're forever healing. But I think I'm doing all right. On a scale of 1 to struggling, like, I'm doing okay. Like, we're okay. But because the other parent is constantly in their feelings and kind of like constantly trying to make things harder, it's part of me just wants to like erupt and just go, by the way, your dad's this and that. And I can't even do it on social media because my son can easily watch any of these episodes, and he's like, Mummy, can I subscribe to your podcast? Nah, B, you're not going to. But there'll be a day where he watches this, and I never want to be able to talk negative about his pops. But what I will say is, it takes a lot of mental and emotional energy to be able to separate how you're feeling at the time when something's just triggered, for you to kind of go, oh no, your dad can't do this because this, and not giving the full truth of how you're feeling, and not deflecting your energy on your child. And I think I respect people who try and sometimes fail. Because I've been guilty of that sometimes, where like my son's felt my anger and he's obviously picked up on it because he's emotionally intelligent. But I don't respect men and women who openly slate their other parent.
No, I feel like that you have to be able to control where that emotion is being pushed towards. But I think one thing that I can't relate to, because I'm not a primary carer, right? But it's having the non-resident parent, we're particularly wording here, right? Having the non-resident parent behave a certain way, disrespect you, not support you, and yet you're constantly reminded of that person through your child. I feel like, and it's a constant, your child is a constant reminder of obviously love and amazingness, yeah, but also the other parent, especially if they look like that parent as well.
Go on. No, go on.
And I feel like to be able to constantly be reminded but come with love, like, you know what, your dad's not here, but this, like you were saying, I feel like that's credit in itself.
It's strength. Like, it's genuine strength to be able to separate the two, because like, don't get it twisted, like 9 out of 10 times, like, we'll have like a misunderstanding through message and it's calm, but when it peaks and they're going in and deep and making it so personal, and it's like, my G, I'm just saying, are you going to collect him or are you not going to collect him? Like, I'm not, like, what happened in 2016 is completely irrelevant to my life at this point. So like, when you're bringing up so much, because obviously when I say healing, like, obviously I'm a bit more healed than you are, or I'm a bit moved, like I've grown past this point that you keep bringing up, or the energy you think I'm coming with. Like, do you know when like people start assuming your intentions, or they start holding on to the old version of your arguments, and it's just like, but
it's because people don't realize. I always say this, if you break up with someone in 2020, right?
Yeah.
And it's 2023 now, to them, you're still that 2020-year-old version.
But then there's certain things that should make it very clear. For example, how your child's growing, how they're thriving, their mannerism, how they perceive the world, how they carry themselves, to know that actually they're in a household that's quite positive, that's quite like, it's a thriving environment, and therefore put more respect on that situation. Therefore come more correct with that person and go, do you know what? I might not have liked how we were, or might not like how the fact that things ended, but I can give you your flowers and know that, do you know what? You've been an incredible person, and how I'm feeling right now shouldn't hinder how I rate you as a mum.
I think I'm trying to put myself in those parents' position, right? Not men's position, parents' position. I think accepting that the woman that you done wrong to, and that in your mind is like this and is like that, is now going and raising your child right, and she's found love and is happiness, shows that, puts a mirror to you that, rare, like, maybe it was you, and maybe you lost a good one. If we can still move forward with the narrative of, no, you're still like this, I know you're still like this, look at what you're doing, it's easier for us to realize we didn't F up.
Yeah.
And I think
you're giving them reason to. But that's why I get it when some parents are like, do you know what, like, let's just keep it on text, or do you know what, just
email.
message my friends, or just go through whoever, because I get it, because it's just like, you just want to be able to just do as much of a smooth journey of raising your child together without having all these issues. But there's something you touched on, which is some women look at their children and see their ex-partner, and that's the one thing I don't think I'll ever do. Like, my son is a photocopy of his dad, but yeah, to me he's very different. So for me, I don't look at him when I'm angry. Like, some women, unfortunately, like, even mistreat their children as a result of, I see you and I see your dad, and he pisses me off, and therefore right now I can't stand you. And to me, that breaks my heart to know that that can even be a thought process, that you're hurting that much and you can't tell the difference between the two, and as a result your child's paying a price for something they didn't even know about. I just that when people talk, like, you're probably the second person this week I've had a conversation where they've mentioned something along those lines, and it's just heartbreaking to know, because that's almost child abuse to an extent.
And it's not always like, it's not necessarily just because of the look, right? If me as a woman, I was going into this believing that you was gonna be there for me as the man. We was raising this child together. You was gonna support me and hold me down. And now when I look at my child, I realize I'm all on my own. You've not kept your end of the bargain. You've peed off, and this is now all on me. I'm angry, I'm annoyed, I'm frustrated. I'm not getting sleep. You're able to sleep whenever you want.
Yeah.
I can't go out. You're able to go out whenever you want.
Yeah.
There becomes that resentment.
Yeah. No, that's true. There is resentment, but I think it's just still being able to separate that feeling with the parent.
It shouldn't be aimed towards the child.
Nah, 100%. I want to quickly just go through some of the comments and stuff and questions that we got from our story.
You might want to put a bulletproof vest on if we're going through comments.
So the one thing I want to start with, I'm not really going in order right now, but something that I can resonate with. Why do we feel that we have to thank the other parent for looking after the child, like as if it's like a babysitting service? Like, I find that I have to stroke my ex's ego and go, oh my God, thank you for looking after him. I appreciate you, like, me, trying to make time. And it's like better than going, well, it's your child, because I know that's not going to be received well, right? If I come with that energy. So I feel like I have to thank him for looking after.
Almost like he's doing you a favor.
Yeah, how you do me a favor when that's your you?
I use I hear
Sorry.
I hear the term like, I'm not gonna babysit while you go out with your friends
Yeah.
or whatever. And if you actually Google babysit, it involves the parents not being there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you're one of the parents, you can't be babysitting your own child. And I don't think it's a favor when you're doing your
Duty.
I said this before. If you're at work and your manager comes to you and says, "Can you photocopy this?" Oh, it's not my responsibility. What am I doing? Why am I doing you a favor? It's in your role. It's in your title.
Ad hoc roles.
Yeah, you should be able to do this.
However, some people do carry that energy of like, am I an idiot? Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to photocopy things for him? I did it for a mug. But then that's where you fail.
I don't think any parent should be thanking other parent for watching the child. I think the parent watching the child, let's not even say the main parent, because that's pretty much their job 24/7, right? The parent that is now taking the child away from the main parent has an opportunity to have quality time with that child. It should not be looked at as, I'm doing you a favor. If anything, you're doing me a favor because you're allowing me to now have some quality time with my child.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I've said before, our focus is always on you and me, rather than the child.
But that's it. And I say that sometimes. And the thing is, like, just not to discredit my ex, like, he does take Khalil quite a lot. And he'll hold him, like, for half the holidays or whatever. But it's down to, like, what's best for me. And I will let you know, let me think about it and see kind of energy. It's never been, do you know what, wicked, I get to do this. I have to sell it and go, look, you know, he's excited to spend time with you. He's excited to even if you can get 3 days in, 2 days in, whatever. And he's like, yeah, cool. And they do vibe well and they do have a great bond when they're together. But it's the fact that I feel like I have to have a selling point for you to go, yeah, I'll take him on board. Else it's usually like, let me see what my week's saying. And I'm just like, life's not lifing like that for you. Like, you got time, but you're just being difficult for the sake of being difficult.
Because it becomes putting the child, and it's not atting anyone for doing this, but your child is becoming an afterthought rather than a priority, in the sense of, if you're saying, let me see how my week goes and I'll do this and do that, knowing that you've not got plans. Yeah, but you want to see if anything better comes up.
Or you're just trying to keep me on wait, on standby. And I just have
personal.
to, and then like when, like, I'll give an example. Like I said, oh, can you do this date to this date? They're going, all this date to that date. I've given them 2 options. They go, nah, I can do the 3rd option though. And I'm just like, that wasn't an option, but safe. And then I go, but can you give me another time as well? So we're being flexible. So we're having options. He went, well, that's the only option I'm giving you. I said, that's not really an option. You're then dictating.
Yeah, that's a statement.
That's what you're doing, and take it or leave it. And for me, that's my son. I'll take it because I'll miss out on my quality time with my child during half term because, you know, 9 to 5 I'm working because he, like, there's the whole like, oh, well, you're with him all the time. So whenever I'm available, like, I should be able to see my son. I said, cool, but I also want quality time with my son as well. Like, I want to be able to do beyond the 9 to 5, cook, homework, sleep. Where's the quality time in that? Do you know what I mean? So it's like, now I have half term. I now have to go, I had plans for Monday and Tuesday, but you're saying I now want him on Monday. That's cool. I'll switch up my plans because my son is still equally happy to be with you. And he's asked me 3 times already, am I going to see daddy this half term? So there's no way I'm going to go, well, actually, I'm going to resist because you're resisting to listen to me. And now we're going to bump heads. Like, my thing is, separate how you feel, Hebz. Don't jab him in the throat. Yeah, sure, have him Monday. And then I just switch up my plans.
I feel like I know I could do better when it comes to school holidays. Not necessarily my eldest, because he might go and see friends, he does what he does, but my youngest mum is very proactive. Like, it's his birthday in July, and literally weeks after Christmas she'll be messaging me about his birthday and what she wants planned and all of this. And at times, at the early stages, it was like overwhelming, like, allow it, like I just forked out money for Christmas and now you're talking about birthday. But I like that now because she's organised. But when it comes to half terms, I should be making more of an effort to come to the table and not assume that you've got it covered. But I hold my hands up, and summer holidays, I'll jump in. I'll take a week off work and I'll make sure. These other little holidays, sometimes it's like, oh, kids are on half term. Oh, damn, I forgot.
I mean, I'm guilty of that as well. Like, remember, because you're constantly working, and then your child just spends a half term like between grandparents because no one's patterned anything for them.
Yeah.
Because I'm here trying to provide, he's not proactively trying, and I'm like, oh crap, I feel bad because that's a whole nother week of you not being able to do anything fun because we ain't got our stuff together. So I get working and stuff can get distracting, but I think if someone's instigating a pattern or someone's trying to instigate, let's structure the holiday,
because the holidays are the same time every year.
that's it. That's it. We'll go on to another question because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
So annoying. How do you deal with the no man can be around my child when a man's ego is in place? What is it you can tell? Like, what is it a woman can do? What is it a man needs to hear?
I've come from all aspects on this, right? So I've been the guy saying that and realizing I can't control it anyway. And I think and I've been in a relationship where my partner's baby dad had an issue and then didn't want to meet me, but then wanted me to not meet the kids until he was ready.
Yeah.
So I've seen it I think from a woman's point of view, you mentioned it before, right? Doing your background checks, making sure you're content with the man, because no one knows for sure, right?
We never know 100%.
We never know for sure. Even if a man, like the non-resident parent, gets with a woman, like she could still turn out to be crazy. Like
100%.
no one can know for sure. But if you've done all the checks you feel are necessary and you're comfortable with this man, you approach the child's father. This is what's happening. I'm not asking for permission, because I shouldn't ask for your permission.
No.
Are you okay if... No, I'm with someone, I trust in them. They're going to meet your child, but would you like to meet them first? Or if that person refuses, live your life.
So you feel like someone should be able to still build, even if the person's going to start making everything difficult?
I think that person, you have an opportunity as a woman, you have an opportunity to meet a man, fall in love, get married, be happy, be content. Will you care about how difficult your baby father's being if you are now supported, loved, cared? You might care, but think about the picture I've painted.
I won't care. However, when I meet guys, when I was single and I was meeting guys, the first questions were, what's the baby father like? I'm like, firstly, he's the father of my child, yeah? Made in love and respect, yeah? Relax, put some respect on the title. Secondly, they're like, because, you know, if he's very controlling, he's trying to, I don't want to get involved.
Yeah, I don't want drama.
So if a man finds out that this person's going to be resistant, he might even be reluctant to settle down with you.
Then he's not
so
the right
even
guy.
No, but I understand as well to an extent, because it's like, are we ever going to be able to have a great relationship? Because if the person's constantly trying to traumatize you and trying to control you and will we ever have this healthy environment? And it's unfair, 100% unfair, and I get it.
I feel like say for example, I met a woman and she said my baby father's 50 Cent. Yeah, that I might look at, do I really want that drama?
Stress.
It's stress. So I get it will put a lot of people off. However, it doesn't mean that you can't find. I think there's a difference, right? I've got a baby father, so therefore I won't even bother. I think that's the narrative I don't like
That's
hearing.
a defeated mindset.
Yeah, like there may be someone out there, like you can't live your life. You can't wait till you're in your mid-40s or 50s to say, right, child's grown now who wants me?
Because everyone deserves companionship and everyone deserves to be happy. Like, you still have your own identity beyond the parent. And I think I agree with you, but it seems like a hard one as well.
It's a double standard as well. If the man's gone off living his life or with a new partner, and what, you can't move on?
Yeah, and I'm grateful to not have experienced that. The next question is, does a child really need a toxic father who's abused and disrespected the mother?
Does he need? There's two different things there, right? So we said toxic father, but we haven't said toxic partner. So if he's abused and done whatever to the mum, that's a toxic partner. If we're saying this guy's a toxic father in the sense of abusing the child, disrespectful to the child, no, we don't need anyone like that around the child. However, I think we can separate a man from being a terrible partner to being a terrible father.
Okay, so I agree with you because who my ex was to me is completely different to who he is to his son.
Yeah.
So I get that, and I can separate with that. I can separate it for sure. However, I can also understand that if the father of your child does not respect you and will openly, outwardly disrespect you, and make your life hard, and is also like verbally abusive, mentally abusive, and also at times physically abusive to you, or has been, while the child's been alive, it's almost like you don't respect and understand and honor the mother who's raising that child. So does he really respect and honor his own child if he's putting the mother of his child in that situation? So I can understand the connection, but I also understand there has to be disconnect to a certain extent.
I think as men, I'll say men, like if we cannot remove ourselves from our ego for our child, if we can't say, you know what, regardless of what's going on or what I think of the mum, I'm just going to zone in on my child and I'm not even going to disrespect her. I got to a point where I was like, if my child's mum doesn't pick up the phone, which she wasn't, it's not going to bother me because I can still see my child. If my child's mum gets with a new man, it's not going to bother me because I can still see my child. As long as you're given, we have to switch off from at some point between how we feel about the mum and what we're able to do with our child. It just needs to be child focused. And I think...
But do you not feel like it's easier said than done? Because as much as there are a lot of people like myself and you who are able to disconnect, but I feel like there's still a common theme where there's an overlap. So I feel like realistically, it's a lot more challenging to the day-to-day person who doesn't take time to really break down and distinguish the two. That there's a lot of emotions flying in the air when it comes to just dealing with the one focus, which is a child.
As a mum or main parent, you're going to know your child best, yeah? And you're going to want what's best for your child. I think if you move forward in life, full stop, saying, the reason why I'm not doing this or the reason why I'm doing this is because it's for the best benefit of my child, I don't fault that, yeah? So if a main parent says, it's not good for my child to be around this other parent that is acting this way and for my child to see this and that, therefore I'm placing a boundary in place. Not necessarily saying you can't, I'm saying this is the boundary because for now because if a boundary stops you from seeing your child, how much did you really want to see your child in the first place?
Yeah, true. Next question, running out of time. My child wants to call her stepdad dad. We don't think she should, as she has an active father. We tried to address it, but she still insists on calling him dad. What else can be done? I actually know this person, so I can elaborate a little bit on it. So, active father, but incredible stepdad in the building. The stepdad finds it uncomfortable that she wants to call him dad because he feels it's a disrespect to the father. But it's because he's also like given so much love and structure at home that she's excited about this person.
So it's a respect to the stepdad.
Yeah, much respect to the stepdad. But then where do you draw the line with children who are obviously quite naive and they're just like, but he's also dad. You know, like it's just who they see as a figure, I guess.
I think first things first, you never want to make the child feel that they've done something wrong. I think that's easy to do. You don't want to. I think there has to be a teaching, right? So it could be, okay, but you know that this is your real dad and this, and if the child's still going with that, to me at a young age, allow the child to do so. To me, when
the father finds out and he goes, right, who should call him dad? Even though they've done everything and they've sat down and stressed it.
But this is why I said, right, man's ego, yeah? My child has called me Bradley. I'm not Bradley, I'm dad. My child wasn't to blame. Like, that's not his fault. I'm not going to now get mad at my child. If I'm getting mad at my child because my child's calling the stepdad who's doing an amazing job, dad, knowing it doesn't change my role. I'm dad. I know I'm dad.
You've got to be confident in who you are.
If you're not confident in who you are, you're going to be so swayed by, oh my gosh, and it's because you're lacking in what you're doing. Nah, I know. I'm going to take my child, have an amazing time. He knows who dad is. That's his stepdad. But also you can come to your child and say, you know what? The name dad is sacred to your dad. How about we come up with another name for the stepdad?
What should a father do if he's forced to choose between two households? So one woman's put an ultimatum and said, well, you're either raising this child here or forget about it.
That ultimatum sounds like the child's mum is doing that, because if your partner's doing that, get rid of her because she doesn't understand.
But she's also the mother of one of your children, even though she's your partner. What now?
Wait, so we've got. So I'm with. Yeah, I know. So I'm with a woman, settled down. We've got a kid together. My other child's mum is saying. Wait, who's saying what?
One of them saying it. One's given an ultimatum saying, you're
either
choose.
fully in.
You're fully in with this child or that child, but we're not doing the two. I think it's a very unreasonable request.
It's an unreasonable request, really. And it reminds me of my situation as the boy. Like, I think my dad's partner was against him coming over, and therefore I got left out while you played Happy Families over there. And I've always said he should have said, look, these are my children. If no one understands and you want to mean the relationship's dead because my children come first. I think that's absolutely correct. I think you have to be very firm to both parties or where we stand. And I think it just means that maybe there needs more boundaries, because if the woman feels she has to make him choose, it's usually because maybe there's like attached issues with the other party that's causing chaos in the house, and they're like, yo, you better choose. So I think there has to be clear confidence of, this is my role as a father, I'm going to be present, I'm not going to be absent because you're in your feelings. But what I will do to ensure there's no blurred line is, here's what I'm going to do to be able to create boundaries and restrictions so that no one's feeling any kind of way. The wife or the partner's feeling like a partner, loved and not battling with another woman. Because some people say, if you have if you're dating someone with a child, then you're always going to be fighting against the other person, because the other person requires more attention and love, because that's the other parent compared to you coming in as an outsider. But we're running out of time. One more question. Okay. How can a single full-time working mum raise 3 young boys in a respectful let's start again. How can a single full-time mum raise 3 young boys into respectful men without their father being present? I feel like that we make that more difficult than it needs to be, like, because I get a lot of credit for who I am, right? And that's due to my mum and my nan and whatever. There was no men around me, and I think you just continue being the amazing mum that you are, and your children see through that, and your children will naturally come in contact with people of the opposite, of the same sex, like uncles or friends, dads or whatever. They will see. But I do say, if you can't put the father in front of the child, try and find a positive role model to put in front of the child. And
it's back to the whole, it takes a village to raise, and it's just like male role models are needed everywhere. So that can be even within a teacher, it could be within like someone else that they make close contact with, consistent contact, and use them as an example. Look how Mr. So-and-so is and how he is with like whatever it is, and just hold little attachments of setting the bar of what a man should be.
Yes.
Yeah. I have more questions, but one question I have to ask, I'm so sorry to ask you, this is so relevant. There were a few people asking, are you single?
Oh, love it.
I'm like, girl, just shoot your shot. A couple of them wanted to shoot their shot.
I get that coming through mine a lot of the time.
Are you single but not really looking?
You know what? I'll say this. Yeah, I'm single. Yeah, but I'm at a stage in my life where I'm dating myself.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've never been here before. Like I think I said to you, I'm going to a concert by myself in March.
Yeah.
I'm going to cinema by myself. Things are crazy right now, so I just want to get to know me better. Yeah. So that when it does come to choosing that next woman, I'm more in touch with who I am and who's going to complement me. Yeah. If I don't know who I am, I don't know who's complimenting me. So I
agree. And I think being alone is the most important part of growth, because some of us like to just fill these gaps of noise and not actually take time to reflect and go, what is it? How is it when I'm silent and alone? What is it when I don't have a motive? Who am I when I don't have a motive?
Scariest place to be sometimes.
Literally. And I remember when I started going cinema by myself, I'm like, oh my God. First I was like, people like, have you eaten by yourself? I'm like, no. So be like, oh, who's that fat kid that got rejected and stood up by some date? And I was like, oh no. Then I did the whole dating myself and going to the movies. I'm like, this is a motive and a half. I got popcorn, I got drinks, got legs up, sweet, laughing to myself. But I agree with you. It's important to really understand who you are, and not shy away from learning yourself and take that hard look in the mirror. But what I will say is sometimes that's when you find your blessing, when you're not ready for it. So your girl might be out there. Just don't knock her because I'm dating me right now.
No. No, I'm open to it, definitely.
We're kids. You might have to come back on still because there's a lot of things we haven't spoken about. We've run out of time. Literally, the next party are outside waiting for us.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time.
No, it's been a
again.
blessing.
I appreciate you. And just in case they ain't watched the first episode, can you please let everyone know what you're doing and where to find you?
Social media, Instagram, TikTok, raisingboys_to men, also YouTube. By the time this comes out, there should be an app that I've got that's out. So if you go and support the app, it's a co-parenting app. Co-parent support network is the name of the app.
That's incredible.
If it's not out, then now I've put more pressure on myself. So yeah,
accountability. We do this. You are watching and listening to Growing Up British with myself, Mama Hebz. You can catch me on I am Hebz on Instagram and growingupbritish.h, and on TikTok and YouTube, Mama Hebz. Guys, I appreciate you. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe, tell a friend, and all that jazz. Grownish, smartish, British.
We are British, apparently.